What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all is good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to look at another small part of a very long live stream lecture from Dr. Sam Richards at Penn State University, where he discussed the woke double standard and racism. Let's get into it.
All right, so this guy got fired for dropping the N-bomb. So let me walk you through. So if you want to fire this guy for walking the N-bomb, this guy here, he said it in the context of quoting, talking about somebody else in history. Okay, then this is where we're going to go, right here. So this guy, Marlon Anderson, security guard at a school district in Madison, Wisconsin, at a high school in Madison, Wisconsin. Some kid in the school is being disruptive. The principal calls for help, calls the school guardians, being like, they're trying to take this guy out of the school. Calls Marlon over, like, Marlon, help out. We got to take this guy out. The kid's fighting, he's like yelling stuff, he's yelling obscenities, and he starts calling this guy the N-bomb. And then Marlon puts up with it. He's like, dude, stop that. As he's like wrestling him out of the building. Stop that, dude, stop calling me that. Stop calling me that word. And he's getting him out of the building. Stop calling me that. Come on, man, really, stop. And the two of them, and then finally, Marlon says, stop calling me N-bomb. Got it? Well, what Marlon forgot was the high school has a zero tolerance policy for saying N-bomb. So the kid was going to get expelled, but he gets fired. And the principal comes forward with a statement to people, to all the family members. Here she is, right here. So she says, she sends a letter informing them that a staff member would not be returning to the school. And she writes, as you know, our expectation when it comes to racial slurs has been made very, very clear. Regardless of context or circumstances, racial slurs are not acceptable in our schools. So, my friends, you want to fire Papa John? You think he should be fired? Well, then he should be fired. Because he broke his zero tolerance policy. Why wouldn't he be fired? Oh, well, he can't because it's a little different. What's the difference? It's just as absurd. Really, what's the difference? What's the difference? I'm going to push you on that. I can point the differences. I'm smart enough. I can see that these are different situations and so on, and I'm going to push back and be like, what's the difference? Hang on, this is just rhetorical. And then she is the one that writes the letter saying, sorry, Marlon had to go because he broke our zero tolerance policy. He ultimately got his job back because so many people, including students at the school, were upset and bothered and so on. Same people that didn't come to the defense of John Schneider from Papa John. They didn't come. I'm sure they didn't come to his defense, but they came to his defense. So this is where we go. This is the world we're going to go in. If we want to have these kinds of, we're going to have language police and action police and thought police and so on. You want to walk up that aisle? Well, we're going to walk up the other aisles also. This is where we're at. And then what's really the problem here? We're not paying attention to racism as though like Papa John is the problem, as though this guy here is the problem. No, racism and violence against everybody, but disproportionately against people who are black and brown seems to me to be the problem. And against women, I should add. But we get ourselves all rolled up in a ball in all these other ways.
Okay, first off, how funny is it that the principal's name was literally Karen? I think with anything in life, context matters. To just have a zero policy rule and be able to fire somebody, like end their career, take away their income, like say this person has kids, and it doesn't matter if they have kids or not, but how they feed themselves, how they feed their family based on something like that with not taking context into matter is ridiculous. I also think it's ridiculous. Like the N-word is, it's not a word I would ever say. It's not a word I would ever want to say, but it is ridiculous because I read about a teacher that was reading a story in a university and he was reading out of the book a history book, and he happened to just read verbatim, and he said the word, and they fired him for it, out of a history book. Now, it's a despicable word to call somebody that, and it can be very offensive to some people. I would get that. But you shouldn't be firing a teacher for reading a book and saying it. Or in this case, this teacher that he's talking about that just, in context, said, hey, stop calling me the N-word. But this word in the English language that we have, that only certain people can say, and we judge if you can say this word based on how dark your skin is. Whether you can say this word or not is based on the pigment of your skin. This is a ridiculous thing. Now, it's a despicable word. Again, I want to reiterate that. I'm not looking to ever say this word, but context matters, and the fact that you could fire somebody and get rid of their livelihoods, because we know with the woke left, the Marxist ideologues that we have these days, if you're labeled a racist, you lose your career. That is the worst thing you could be labeled in life. Your career is done. You might not be hired from anywhere else after that if you're labeled that, whether you are or not. And I've just said the word is despicable, but even if you said like the N-word is despicable, you cannot say the actual word and say it's despicable. It's crazy to me. And again, it's not a word I'm looking to say, so I don't care so much about it. I just find it very odd that we've gotten to this point that people are losing jobs and livelihoods for saying a word, any word, towards anybody, regardless of race or gender. Let's get back to the video.
So here, I got another one for you. How many know who she is? You see this? This just came out in the news. So a woman says Denver arena guard told her to remove a hijab. So she was going to the arena in Denver to see one of her children was singing in a choir, I think. So she shows up at the arena. And the hijab, from what I could see in the photos, her covering was more or less very similar to this. So she shows up, and the security guard says, as she's walk up toward me, you're going to get in, stop, you can't come in with that, you got to take that off. And then she says, what do you mean I got to take it off? She's like, no, you got to take it off. So she says, I wear this for religious reasons. I don't want to take it off. She says, I don't care why you wear that thing, you're taking it off if you want to come in. It's like, okay. So she says to the guard, do you think there's a place, and she's with her child, she says, do you think there's a room where we could go, like kind of a secure room that's where I could take it off, and because she's kind of modest about taking her hijab off. And the guard says, no, there's nothing like that. You have to go, and sort of waves her away. So this woman is like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So pretty quickly, this all happens really fast. A guy comes out from in this other area. He walks over, assesses the situation really fast, and apparently pulls the security guard aside, and first off, and then waves her through. Very fast. It's like 30, maybe 40 seconds. And then the security guard comes back out, so they talk to her briefly, and she comes back out and doesn't say anything, doesn't really interact with her, but this woman gets in. She goes through the metal detector. The metal detector goes off because her cell phone was in her pocket, and she had to come back and get the cell phone out and so on, and it was fine. And she gets in. So the whole thing takes an additional maybe 45 seconds or so, not very long. Okay, cool? Got it? So the idea is the security guard is clearly out of line. And it's a problem because you don't know what hijab is and you don't understand anything about this head covering and Muslim women and so on. And so, come on, man, are you kidding me? What do you mean? She's coming to you saying it's for religious reasons. What do you know? Like, why aren't you aware? Why don't you know? Why don't you understand what's going on? So then this is a problem. So the Council on Islamic Affairs and Islamic American Relations, they get involved and they put out press release and, I forget what they said, but, something like this is just really terrible. This is an indication of what happens to Muslim people and so on. And she didn't make like a major deal over it, but she'd put out a Facebook post and say, hey, this happened to me. And that's how it blew up. And it blew up such that when I went online, when I looked at it, it's everywhere. These are just images, but each one is the same story over and over and over again. Here's the problem with this. Here's what makes it complicated. What do you think about what you're thinking about the security guard? She's a 71-year-old African-American woman. So people are calling for her to be fired, calling for a lawsuit against the Denver Nuggets arena, calling for a lawsuit against the security company, calling for them, all sorts of things happening. The security guard, first off, she's 71 years old. I'm like, all right, man, you've been on the planet 71 years, but she's not up on hijabs. Can we go back to Papa John? We want to play in that world where you do one thing wrong, and we could even have arguments about what is and isn't wrong. What if he accidentally drops the N-bomb, but he was trying to say another word, and he accidentally said that one, and like, oh my God, how far do we want to go? So if we want to play in that world of utter condemnation for the slightest thing that we do wrong, the slightest mistake we made, well then the black security guards should get fired. The whole Denver organization could get sued. I mean, how far do you want to go with it? First off, it's the same thing as the other story. It's like black security guard. Can you just stop with the hand waving and you're not coming in here with that? First off, this woman said there were men in the lobby when they were getting with baseball caps on. Of course, and I'm like, she's not making that shit up because there are men everywhere with baseball. If there are more than 3 men, there's at least 1 baseball cap. So like, why are they getting in? You know what I mean? Like, come on. Or did you make them all take the cap off and see if there's something under the cap? Did you she's asking, can we go to a private room? Could you maybe we could just, I could take it off. I could show you I don't have anything underneath. No, we can't do that. Okay, so she could have just whipped it off. Like the men probably would just whip their cap off and be like, yeah, see, I'm good. Like, all right, good. But she's not. It's different for her. Wearing a hijab, covering her hair is different than, you wearing the baseball cap or you or whoever. What I'm saying, I don't know. There's nobody's right, nobody's wrong. All I know is when we start pointing our fingers at things, at people, 3 are coming back at us, and it's going to be a problem.
Did this security guard get fired?
Did she get fired?
Yeah.
Nah, they just pull her aside and be like, come on, man, let's bring you up to speed. Here's this thing, it's called a job. She was probably like, yeah, I kind of heard of them, but she probably doesn't know any Muslim women. She probably hasn't really thought. It's one of these things, just like he's asking, yeah, but I don't really know about the hijab. So I don't know, can you wear it? Just remember when we talked about hair? And people don't know about hair. They don't know about black hair. They don't know about anything. People don't know about anything. Right?
You got to give it to Sam Richards. Making the students think, asking the right questions. Again, these videos are not about agreeing with him or disagreeing with him, but this is what teachers should be doing, having the conversations. The point used to be in these types of classes to learn to do some critical thinking. For Sam Richards to go out there as a older white dude, have these chats, I mean, I'm surprised he's still there, to be fair. And when he talks about that older lady, and there's a good chance she just doesn't know. And look, she could be a racist person against Muslim and not know anything about the hijab too, or she could just be ignorant about the whole thing. Who knows? But again, context will matter. But had she have been an older white man, I guarantee you she would have been fired and labeled a racist, and it would have made the news and the papers and all that stuff. This is why these classes are kind of important. These conversations are important because for the left, you will never achieve the moral standard that the woke left wants you to achieve. It will not happen. These ideologues on the left, they only focus on 2 things. They focus on race and they focus on gender. Had that older black lady been a white man, it would have been done. Let's get back to the video.
Okay, so I am lucky enough to be enlightened in certain subjects.
No, hang on. Not enlightened. Don't say enlightened.
Okay,
You're
informed.
lucky enough, or by chance,
right,
you know about certain things.
So we'll go with what he said. And I have a couple of things. My first thing is, how do you have an 81-year-old 71 security guard in a
she's not really
arena?
A security guard. I mean, she's not chasing anybody down. Not like this dude or this dude. She's just taking tickets and stuff.
It's like the guy on Barstool, if you ever saw the security guard at Beaver Stadium, who's barely touching the people that he's checking. It's kind of like that, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
And when you like explaining the situation, I feel like she's 100% wrong, because that's like asking. I feel like there's a lot of prejudice against the hijab, and like for someone to ask them to take it off, unless you're in the airport, that's a whole different situation, and me and TSA are not friends, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I got it.
But like that's my scenario would be like asking someone to take off their cross because you're wearing a cross, or like the Star of David or something.
Okay, so let me just say the following. That's a really nice response. I will say the following. My imagination of her is actually that it's just as likely, instead of her being like really aggressive and she knows what it is and she's just like, F you Muslims or whatever, right? She's actually just totally unknowing about any of it. She's like, no, you're wearing a hat. Like, no, take it off, like whatever. She's just as like, whatever. As anything else. It's just as likely that that's very much the story and we don't know. But
I was just going to say, like, to answer the question about the hijab, it's like, in terms of taking it off, let's say you get asked to take off your shirt. Like, taking off your shirt isn't necessarily, like, difficult. It's just, like, it's exposing. So, like, she wouldn't want to take that off in front of other people, and she might want a private room. Or it's like, let's say a teacher says, take off your hat in class. It's not hard to take off your hat. It's just like you feel exposed when you take it off, so you don't want to take it off in front of
exactly.
people.
And no, I think that, that's the kind of thing, right? For me, look, y'all, right? Yins, for the Pittsburgh folks, yins. What this class is about is an opportunity to touch on lots and lots of different things so that we don't become the security guard. It seems really obvious to me, but it's not obvious to everybody. So it's like, okay. Wait, who else? Well, can we make one final thing, man?
I would also say that it's almost like the comment that was made last class about eating pork with a Muslim father. It's like, it's a form of disrespect. Like when you ask somebody to do that, it's like, it's a form of disrespect.
Yeah, totally, man. Wait, all right, go ahead. What do you think?
My problem with her isn't the fact that she was like ignorant on hijabs. It's the fact that after she asked for a private room and explained that it was a religious...
She still said no.
She still said no.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of... That seems... But, maybe it's really busy. There's a million people. Look at me. I'm the guy that's trying to make excuses for a 71-year-old black woman who's clearly being ignorant and racist. And I'm like, I'm doing... You hear what I'm doing? I'm doing the thing that... So a lot of you complain that, like, well, when you tell you about racism, you say, yes, but it might have been this other thing, and it might have been that. And here I am doing that for a 71-year-old black woman. I'm like, y'all, maybe she did this, or maybe she was that, or like, I'm that guy.
Good video. I love these lectures. His channel's great. I don't always agree with the guy. I don't always disagree with the guy. But he's asking the right question and he's teaching the right way. And in making people think and making people engage, which is what is important. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. Catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.